Anyway, speaking of funny movies, we've got the last movie this week, which was Tanner's. That being the 2020 film Peninsula, sequel to Train to Busan.
That's right, guys. When we lost... God damn it, I fucked up my words already. This takes place 4 years after Train to Busan, and a bunch of exiled Koreans are hired to do a job where they have to steal a bunch of money from Korea, and hijinks ensue. Fun fact, shortly after the release of Train to Busan, the movie Fate of the Furious, which I believe is the 8th Fast and Furious film, came out, and it was a massive hit in Asia. And so people have theorized that what happened is the director and writer of Train to Busan saw how successful their film was and how successful Fate of the Furious was, and then decided, what if we made our own Fast and the Furious, but with zombies? And thus, Peninsula was born.
Now that was a stellar fun fact. Great work on that one, Tanner. Great work. I'm giving this a C.
I don't remember. I think I was much higher than that. A minus.
That is much higher.
I am also at a flat C.
I'm sitting at a C+.
Dylan, why'd you love this movie?
I don't know. I can't remember anything about any of these movies, man. I'm just going based off of what you guys retell. All I remember is I'm really iffy on the CGI in this movie, and I'm also not convinced on the car physics and how that works when in a zombie apocalypse, but I could be convinced otherwise.
No convincing necessary. Both of those things are bad.
Yeah, the CG is a pretty low point for the movie. It's bad, and it's pretty frequently used, unfortunately.
Yeah. My big thing with this movie and why I'm at like a C+ is like, it is really stupid and very aggressively cliche, but there is still fun stuff in here. There's little bits of world building and little action scenes, if not moments, that are fun and entertaining, and that ending car chase scene is very fun and a bit thrilling, even, as long as you can ignore the fact that it looks like a Twisted Metal cutscene.
I was gonna say, it was very Twisted Metal or Mad Max-esque for a majority of it.
I don't know about Mad Max other than them both having cars in them.
That's about where it ends for me. That and people driving like maniacs trying to kill each other.
Yeah, it's always very funny watching these like young kids just whipping the shit out of these cars that should not be able to drive or handle like that in any capacity. They're doing some fun stuff in those scenes though, like the way they're like getting the attention of the zombies and shit, which is kind of fun. But it is, unfortunately undermined by the fact that it looks absolutely abysmal, and because of that, it's very distracting. It takes away from it a lot. I'm with Tanner too. There are some things in this movie I did enjoy, but I think for the most part it was pretty aggressively generic and cliche, and a lot of the emotional stuff just didn't really work on me too, and they tried to do a lot of scenes where they're like trying to get you to fucking cry or something or feel anything, but unfortunately they just don't do a good enough job setting up the characters for me, so I felt pretty indifferent for the most part. I like the town of dudes. That's fun. I like the way they built up the society within the zombie world and the ideas around that. I also like having like a secondary antagonist kind of guy. I wish they fleshed him out more. The dude that ended up like delivering the money but got betrayed in the end. I like that idea that there is like just a separate group of people that aren't necessarily like the bad guys, but they're just trying to fucking make it work too and also escape the shitty situation, and they got punished for it. I wish they developed his character more. Overall, it's just it's a pretty whatever movie. Bad sequel.
Yeah, as Jackson said, this is just a pretty generic zombie movie, so it really just didn't do anything for me personally. I watched Pixar's Hoppers, the new Pixar movie Hoppers, this week. I'd highly recommend watching that instead of this.
Damn.
I think Tatsuki Fujimoto recommended that movie.
Oh, he has good taste. Well, folks, I'm sticking at my C.
Crazy. I guess, Dylan, is there any stronger defense you want to offer this film before we send it to hell?
Nah, I can't remember much of any of these movies, to be completely honest. All I remember is bad CGI, unrealistic car shenanigans. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much. I think this might have been one of the movies I had to rate on the fly. I think there was one of them.
I mean, you gave it an A- on the fly, so presumably you had a fun time watching it at the very least. Like, there's no way you're thinking like you thought the movie was bad and looked bad, but you're like, yeah, no, it's still an A-. Like, where'd that come from?
Well, I'm also trying to think, because I also gave Train to Busan an A-, and I'm trying to figure out if I think this movie is on par with Train to Busan.
I sure hope not.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of thinking not really. I still enjoyed the movie. For some reason, I'm looking at No One Will Save You, and I find this movie somewhat comparable to that, I suppose.
I can understand how that could be the case for you.
I don't really know if I have a general basis on how I rate movies.
I'm going to stick with my C+.
In a shocking turn of events, I'll just give it a B-. I'm not going to go as low as Tanner. But, like, I'm looking, like, of what's in my C+, and I can't drop it that low, but,
Yeah, I'm going with my flat C.
I'm looking at other movies and tiers above that. I'm like, yeah, I think I'd rather watch those movies more. I think they were a little better in certain ways.
Nico?
I'm pretty sure I already said that I'm sticking to my C.
Yeah, he said he was, yeah.
Well, lands at a C+. I didn't hear you, buddy. How exciting.
Okay.
Wow.